It's becoming a trend that when I sit down to research one video, I come up with a totally different one, and that's kind of what happened today. Originally, I was going to be talking about Towa's sword. This sword may have broken in the ending of the second episode, however we did finally get a name for it, as well as who owned it before, which if you know this channel at all, you know it's probably the most exciting thing they could have given me. And honestly, like I said, that's where this video was going to be discussing, but it's shifted into something possibly much bigger. I think I have a theory as to what might happen to the demons in the modern age, and what caused them to vanish. So if you're excited to learn more about Towa's sword, or you just love hearing Yashahime theories, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more daily Inuyasha and Yashahime content. You can also support the channel by donating on Patreon, like all of these excellent people have done. And of course, a big thank you to our newest patron, Jupiter Girl 125. Also, if you want to learn more about the other protagonists' weapons, I did a video on Setsuna's Kanamitsu no Tomoe and Moroha's Kurikaramaru. I will link them in the cards in the top right corner, but with all that being said, let's get into it. Towa's weapon is called the Kikujumonji. It is likely a reference to Kikumon, which means chrysanthemum. For over 1,000 years in Japan, a chrysanthemum has been used in the imperial seal as a sign of the imperial family. Also, that is officially the hardest word for me to say. Good lord, who decided on titling it chrysanthemum? Either way, when you consider that her father is Sesshomaru, and her grandparents are both Toga and Sesshomaru's mother, I mean, it's pretty fitting for Towa to be holding this sword. She's definitely part of some kind of royal line. But the more interesting part of this sword is who Towa says it belonged to. Apparently this was the sword of the shogun Yoshiteru Ashikaga, with Yoshiteru being a real-world shogun who was born in 1536, became shogun at the age of 11, and died in 1565. All of this during the Sengoku period, aka the period in which the feudal era takes place in Inuyasha. As he was so young when he became shogun, he was essentially a puppet shogun for quite some time, with other people truly controlling things and him being more of a figurehead for the first few years. However, later in his life, he was credited as being a major player in reaffirming the shogun's authority in every part of Japan through his diplomacy and trying to negotiate peace with the daimyo of his era. The other thing Yoshiteru is famous for was his swordplay, often being called the Kengo Shogun, with people saying that he was closer to a samurai or a warlord than a shogun at times. Which, I mean, if you're being represented by a sword in Yashahime, that makes sense. Okay, but now let's talk about my theory of what this can mean. To me, this all seems to lean towards Towa being someone who will eventually bring peace or some kind of great change. How should she do that, though? Well, that kind of leads me to two things I haven't yet mentioned. As I did mention, though, Yoshiteru died in 1565. He would end up taking his own life after an invasion on his land resulted in the death of his master. Surprisingly enough, by a man named Matsunaga Danjou Hisahide. And where have we heard Danjou before? Well, it happens to be the name of the daimyo that we met in the first episode. And again, Yoshiteru was known for bringing peace through negotiating with the daimyo. A pretty interesting thing to just be a coincidence. Where my theory really comes in, though, is the year in which Yoshiteru died, 1565. You see, Yoshiteru was often called the last effective shogun, and 1565, along with his death, was the year of the end of the Sengoku period. And I think that might mean that Towa could bring about the end of the feudal era. To me, there's only one major difference between the feudal era in Japan and the modern era. Well, like, aside from all the technology and all that. But aside from technology, the most obvious thing is, well, demons. The story of Inuyasha followed the Shikon Jewel, something which could be used to make a wish, ending the series with a wish that would destroy the jewel itself, and effectively ending its story. In Yashahime, however, we instead have a group of 7 rainbow pearls. And while each individually seems to be much weaker than the Shikon Jewel, 2 of them together seem to have similar effects. So with 7, they could be exponentially stronger. And I really do hate that this kind of leans into people making Dragon Ball jokes, but I wonder if these rainbow pearls will be used to make a wish as well. All of these ideas kind of combine in my head to give me the thought that Towa might wish for an end of the feudal era as we know it, possibly for the end of demons. If only there were some kind of dimension between the world of the living and the dead that would be perfect for demons to inhabit, and that we've seen to be linked with pearls in the past. Or maybe a different dimension that we saw inside of a jewel as well. But that's basically where I'm leaving that. The theory is that Towa will make a wish that sends all of the demons into another dimension, or seals them away inside the pearls. It's just a fun theory. Don't take it too seriously. Do I think it's real? Almost absolutely not. Based on the historical reference being the end of an era, I thought it was something cool to think about at least. So don't take it too seriously yourself. But I do hope that you had fun with it. What do you guys think though? Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, there's a lot of really interesting choices and naming going on here, and at some point it's just kind of illogical to think that it's a coincidence. Just the fact that we had a weapon that was owned by Yoshiteru Ashikaga, who died at the end of the Sengoku era, and who had association with a daimyo named Danjou, I mean that's a lot already in itself. So I do think that there's something bigger going on at the very least. Let me know your thoughts though in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and remember to subscribe for more daily Inuyasha and Yashahime content. And of course, a big thank you to all of our patrons. In the Dai Yokai tier, we have Miasma, our Yokai tier patron is Lucifina Akuma, and our Hanyos are Jasmine Morales, and our newest patron, Jupiter Girl 125. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.